And I appreciate y'all's patience with things being up and down and working and not working and all that. Okay, I had to pause the other live stream because the volume was on. Let me make sure the volume's down on that. And we will minimize that and pop out the chat. And my guest tonight's going to be somebody I've known for a couple of years. And ironically, tonight's the first time I've actually met him. Let's see. There we go. It's a Dram dude. He's a guy out in California, and I'm all the way out in Maryland. But originally from Kentucky, that's why I'm wearing this shirt. But we've known each other for a while and have similar taste. He's got excellent taste. He was the one that got me involved with the the Black Arts. I think it was the first time I ever had it. Was a 4 point. I guess it was those are 4.0. I think back then 4.1. I can't remember I know the 5 started doing a 0.1 type of thing, but he was into that, and I loved it. It's an excellent bottle, and I wish I had my own. That one is extremely expensive, and to me, it's like over $350, closer to $400, I think now. Especially the Ford now, and that was back then. This is a couple of years ago now. I'm not even sure if you can get it aftermarket. It would be kind of a tough deal, but you can still get the new one is the 6. I think they just released, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure it was the 6. And I have had the 4 and the 5, both the great. I thought the 4 was better than the 5, only because it had some truffly notes that were very interesting to me. I didn't get in the 5, and I'm not sure if it, was a weird cork taint type of thing. I don't think so. I got this really nice truffle, black truffle kind of sense, and I like black truffle if it's very, much in a small amount. So that's the difference there. Let me see if sent Dram the invite. He said he might be a few minutes down the road. We're going to take a look at Bunnahabhain, one of my favorite distilleries, as you can see up on the far wall up there. I've dabbled in everything from the entry core 12, the 13 Marsala finish, the 18, the Kalbanach, the Choychek, the Elena Glen, and the Krugvona. I've also had some samples here and there. Even had a good chance to do the it's Porta. Is it Coraldo? I think is how you say it. I have to look that one up again. Oh, no problem, Dram. I told him that you were getting some things set up there, and but across the board, it's I think it's going to be in a good state. We'll get more into that in detail. Just starting off, I thought I was trying to decide on what to pour. I thought I might be lucky enough to have still a Bunnahabhain lying around, but unfortunately, since they are pretty good, there wasn't. But I did have an interesting sample that I have tried previously. I left myself half, thankfully, to dabble with. And that's the brand new Kingsbarns Dream to Dram from March of 2019, at 46% ABV. Brand new distillery. They don't color the juice, I'm pretty sure. It's very light, but I like what I see. I did like what I tasted too. Not to get to any crazy details, because I did a show a while back on it, but the it was a solid 3.5 star dram. Just almost as good and satisfying. I think it's the Elisa Bay one, but maybe not as quite there. Or the Ardnaturin was another really good one. But this holds its own. It's it shows that they have a lot of promise, and I'm looking forward to see what they can do later down the road. With that said, though, tonight I was going to do a little bit of an experiment. Um, I have dabbled in adding sherry and doing some interesting things with whiskey on the side. Of course, we want it to be in the cask for an extra 3 years and all that before we get to the bottling process and all that. But sometimes you don't get to dictate that kind of stuff. And you have a solid drink, but you're kind of thinking to yourself, I wonder why, little PX might be with this. So what you do is and this has been done, some people don't get into it. I have had good luck with it. So I went out and got a decent bottle of sherry. It's not anything special. It's like $30. It's something you could pick up anywhere. They also had an Oloroso that I picked up, same brand and everything. I thought, you know what? If you have an eyedropper, and that's the key, you can easily destroy the the essence of a whiskey if you get too heavy-handed, and it's really easy to be heavy-handed with sherry, no matter what type of Fino, PX, Oloroso, Amontillado. And I learned the lesson with the Amontillado was the first bottle of sherry I bought to add, and it does work if you, but you have to use a couple of drops, literally. No big spoon pours, or you can't just tilt the bottle and think I'll just give it a little dash. It doesn't work that way. But we're going to give us a little pour of this Kingsbarn's Dream to Dram. And I know they might think I'm crazy and it's sacrilegious to do this, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do to get ideas. And, if they don't have a PX cask ready for me, which they don't, then this is the next best option, I think. But now this is going to be interesting. I did think about the distance of the liquid to the bottle. It might be a bit down there for me to use this eyedropper. We're going to try, though. What I could do is just pour it in a different glass and do it that way, too. I think that's what I'll do, make it simplify things, because I got plenty of glassware back here. So sorry about the moving around, but let's get us a little different glass here to work with and use that. Let's see how it goes, and just use the dropper from the glass itself. Just be careful. Don't pour a lot if you're not going to use a whole lot. You know what I mean? I'm just going to pour like a little bit like that. And then that way I have, a way to do it. Hey, Ben, good to see you. Yeah, it is a little crazy, I guess. But there's always those bottles, and I'll get into it more with Dram when we talk about Bunnahabhain. But it, you have to experiment in order to find things that you might not necessarily like or whatever, and give you ideas. It smells great off the get-go, but get you a little bit, and play around with it. But you definitely want to be just a couple drops to begin with to see what you're dealing with, because the moral of the story. And the same thing goes with water. You can always add more water, but you can't take the water out of the juice once it's in together. So interesting. It's got a really lot of banana cream off the nose from the get-go. Trying to think if I dig that sherry out a little bit. I definitely didn't overdo it by any means, so it definitely can handle a little more. So instead of a couple little, we'll give a few more drops there. Let that simmer. How you doing, Ben? Hopefully you're doing well. I think this is the same Ben from SNWS. The last name might throw me off, but good to see you. It's been a little while. I haven't forgot about you guys. I am going to be getting some more bottles. I just took a little break from the action because I was dealing with some health issues and whatnot. And I haven't actually been out to get a bottle in quite a while, even locally. I got to get out to Petite Cellars at some point and say, hey, I did ask my guy for a Scotch list, but he said, yeah, I'll get it to you tomorrow, but I guess he's been busy. So I'm going to have to try to get that list, and I'll be hitting up from you. I'll take a look at your all site and see what you guys have on the offer. All good. Just got back from a week-long sherry binge in Spain. Nice. Do you have a favorite as far as type of sherry? To me, it's tough. The ones I'm aware of, Amontillado, I had the first experience with the Cargis from, I believe that was the 2015 is the Amontillado yellow Lafroy Carriages. And I love the taste of it. It's got a lot of marzipan-y kind of almondy notes to it. That's what stuck out to me about that specific type. PX, of course, I love because it's really sweet and it brings out a lot of dark fruit action. Same goes for Oloroso with the dark fruit action, but it's definitely more savory, a little more red grape-like. Still a fan of it. Ben's saying he loves Manzanilla and Amontillado. Yeah, Manzanilla is another interesting one. The only time I remember having it was in the Ardbeg Ardbog. That's an extremely good deal, and I think the Manzanilla isn't that basically like a lot like a Fino, where it's kind of dry, acidic. I'm sorry, and salty. Is it got those characteristics, Ben? I'm just curious. Hey, Chad, good to see you, man. I'm glad you could drop by. Just settling in, trying to get a normal time where people can expect to stop by. Oh, okay, so same kind of profile. I'm really finally getting in on the nose on this. Really, really well done, actually. As far as I think, I got the blend of the dram just with a little bit in there, enough to make it hopefully make it sing. It's singing, on the nose at least. Hey, Michael. Michael, how do you pronounce it? Cool? Is it just cool, or is there a specific pronunciation to that? And greetings from Scotland. Um, I only know how to say Thromalagat in Irish Gaelic, but I don't know enough Scottish Gaelic yet. I am learning all the distillery names and trying all the distillery one-off NAS statements. Not an easy thing. I was just practicing my Choichek Aha, I think it is Ada Choichek Ada, which is a Bunnahabhain. A newer release of the Choichek, which we'll get into and chat about that. Let's see if Ben says Manzanilla is essentially the same as Fino, but it's produced and matured closer to the sea, so it has more of a coastal undertone. Ah, cool. Okay. It's funny that you say that, because I remember the way I kind of tied it in my head was with the Ardbeg, and the Manzanilla, and it relating to Fino, but I didn't know it was essentially the same, with the difference with that coastal thing, which makes sense though for Isla. Or for any type of Scottish whiskey. Just grab the Bunna. 18 on vacation. Lucky you, man. That would be awesome. I wish I had a bottle. I need to get a new one of Bunnahabhain. I'm slacking today, doing a Bunnahabhain show and not drinking a Bunnahabhain, but I did make up for it earlier. and they always have things on my wish list. It's really hard to go a week or two without thinking of some sort of new Bunnahabhain that I haven't tried that I want to get my hands on. And it doesn't have to be anything super expensive. It could be one of their new travel retail exclusives, things like that. Some distilleries get it right more so than others, and we'll talk about that for sure, for certain. Michael says, Scotland be proud of you. Nice whiskey collection. Thanks. Yeah, you can see I'm heavily on the Isla region up here, but what you don't see is a lot of well, you do see this place, but over on this other side, we've got our Highlands, we've got our Glenlivets and our Craigellachties and our Craggamores and Tullibardines and our Tamdus and Arons and Bowmores and Speyburns and Macallans and Scappas and Clyneliches and oh, I was excited. I'll tell you guys about it. I finally and I was good enough, lucky enough to get the when they were doing that whole Game of Thrones thing from Diageo with that set. I didn't go crazy hardcore like some of these people did and shelled out like almost $1,000 for a set or anything. I just went and got them as I could. Well, I was pretty good about getting a lot of them. I missed two in the first go around, which was the Clynelish and the Royal Nagar. And but I love Lagavulin. I was actually keen on the Dalwhinnie. The Oban was surprising. I'm not a huge Oban fan, but that Night Watch is actually pretty smoky and heavy on the smoke, and I actually enjoyed that one a lot. Talisker, of course, was good on the sweeter end, but if you don't mind a sugar cookie kind of that type kind of scotch. I was indifferent on the Cardew. The Glendulin, you have to be in the mood for it 'cause it's got some sulfuric properties, but I didn't have the Clynelish or the Rolatnagar, and recently I found it in California. So if you're shopping around and you're still looking for a couple bottles, give the guys at Blackwell's a look in California. They might have a bottle that you're looking for out of that entire set. I know they're selling sets and they're selling individual bottles. And I was able to pick up my Clynelish and my Rolatnagar, so I've got that on the to-do list, and I will do the Clynelish when I'm doing the distillery, and maybe even the same thing for Rolatnagar, because they don't really have a whole ton of options other than the 12, the 18. And I think this is the same as their 12. I have to look more into it research-wise, but great to see you, Loch Ness. I really appreciate you stopping by, man. Hope you have been having fun. We'll have to still try to get you on the show and have a little chat. I think Dram's still going to join us here a little bit. Doug's saying, I don't have an 18. This is next scotch to buy. I go through a lot of the 12. Yeah. The funny thing is, now, the 12 is solid. I love it. In the 18 is solid, and I love it. But you don't like, even though the 18 is great, and if you have the extra money for it, then I say go all in. I don't hesitate in pulling the trigger. But the 12 is so damn good by itself. You don't feel left out if you can't get the 18 or something different. That's how good their basic, solid core 12 is. At least this black box, which is I know a revision back. But tell me what you guys think. Let's get into a little bit of it here, just to get and I'll catch up with Mr. Dram when he gets to join here. If you have any problems, Dram, let me know and I'll send you another invite. Send it to your Gmail account, so you should be able to pick it up there. And once I see you on the bottom, then I can pop you in, I believe. Anyway. Oh, let's also talk preliminary before he's able to come on. A couple of changes I've decided to make. We did 2 distilleries so far. This is going to be our 3rd tonight. We did Ardbeg and Glen Scotia to open up the series with, and I've been happy with the way things are going. But I don't think I was really drilling down enough on a couple things. And a guy that I sometimes think about, because I think of him as like almost like Obi-Wan Kenobi is Aquavite when it comes to some things. And I'll never forget his ABCD thing on Scotch and talking about the age, statements, the bottling strength, if it's color, I'm sorry, if it's chill filter for C, and if it's D dyed for color. Those 4 things were important, and I wasn't really looking at that when I was to that level when I was looking at the distilleries, and I thought, you know what? I think I should call it craft and give it a score and add it in as part of the rating, because craft makes a huge difference on whiskey, and this is a good reason. Now, when I was looking at Ardbeg's score, I was wondering to myself, they're a great distillery. Why in the world would they be a B? They should be an A, in my opinion. and I'm factoring in what others think with my score to make it a level playing field. But one thing I didn't really get into that I should have was the craft. And I believe after you sit down and you look at coloring, Ardbeg doesn't do it. Chill filtering, Ardbeg doesn't do it. That right there boosts them up, I think, considerably. And with the Ugadal and the Corrievrecken and other things, they have lots of cast strength or plus 50%, 46 being the ideal minimum that Dram and I were kind of discussing earlier. The you know, that's what you're looking for. So since Ardbeg really, I think, has everything, and then everyone's perfect. I haven't given any 10s. I'm going to give them a 9 on craft because they don't color, they don't chill filter, and they have lots of cast strength options to pick from. Age was already factored in, which they didn't do a great job on, but I already gave them an earful for that. So I'm not going to go into it again, but they're an A minus now. So I'm going to go back to the original video just to give you guys a heads up and change that to an A minus for overall. With Glen Scotia, they do not chill filter, thankfully, but they do color some of their stuff. And, some people say it doesn't affect the taste. Some people swear that it does. I personally haven't, sat down and did a proper controlled, setting taste test to verify if I can tell a difference or not. But I think that anything that's not natural affects the craft. That's just the way it goes. And I'm thinking, that with that said, for Glen Scotia, we're gonna give them a 6. They don't really have a ton of cast strength offerings. They're not a huge distillery. They do have a solid core. They do have a fish shield type of. At least they've had one cast strength offering, or maybe a couple. Hopefully, those can be a little more regular, a little more fluid, consistent. So I think a 6 was fair, and they're still at a B plus. I think they're still a solid distillery. Just have a little bit to work on. Dram says 5 minutes, and we'll have them come on board. So with that said, I think that adding craft is really going to help fine tune some of these looks at the state of the distillery and go from there. No color added and non-chill filter is huge as well as minimum 43 ABV. Yeah, and I'm willing to go ahead and up it to 46 because 40 I know is the bottom floor. 43 is kind of a nice to have, kind of a little pat on the back, but who wants that, right? You want one of these. You don't want one of these. You want to go all in, if you're going to do craft something. If I'm going to put my name on it or my distillery's name or have any pride in something, I'm going to make it the damn well best I can, and hopefully these guys will start taking note of the whole coloring thing as being maybe not the best option. I know some people say it's for Americans, their palates are not up to snuff. Not speaking for Michael, but I know some Scotsmen they might think that, oh, we're doing it for you guys, but I'm like, hey, I know you got to somewhat cater to the masses when it comes to blends. Johnny Walker, if they want to put 1,000 tons of E150A in their stuff, then go at it. But sorry, let me move the my thing over a little bit here so I can see the chat and the video at the same time. Sorry, guys, 1 second. Let's move this down here and move this up here. I'm working with like 3 different monitors. That's why my head's going all over the place. So don't mind me. No. I'm not. It's not a right or wrong thing, Linus. It's it's like my personal sweet spot is the 48. Standard minimum's 40. I'm thinking, 43, 46. That should be somewhere in that area. Definitely should be like a somewhat of a higher standard that you would hope most would try to get at least some of their bottles at. I mean, everyone needs one of those entry level, not even a 12-year, but like A1. Good to see you, man. It doesn't have to be a 12-year. It could be like a double cask, like the Glen Scotia double cask. It could be like a reserve, an AS type of thing. But make that your 40%. Select is what I think of when I think of entry basic. You're not going for someone like us. You're going for the guy that's just trying Isla for the first time, and you hope he doesn't like run around with his mouth on fire or start spitting on the floor thinking that he's got dirt in his mouth or something. Hey, I think I see Dram. Let's see here. All right, Dram, I think I need to get. Don't see your stream yet. I do see you. Let's see if I can add you here. We've got your name, but we don't have video or sound yet. I think it might be loading. He's in California, so we might have to do a little buffering here. We were able to do a test run earlier and had no problem with the video and audio. So hopefully he'll be in business here in a second. We'll let it sit. Oh, he disconnected. I think he might be coming back. But anyway, nice to see you, Juan. What are you drinking tonight? Let me know what you guys are sipping. Let's have a little more of this. This sherry has been sitting here for a bit, so I think we can. Really nice nose. I still get my banana cream. I still get, some maple syrup. Oh, there he is. I think we got him. Yep. Oh, I saw you for a second, and then it died. Let's see. I'm going to try to. Oh, there you are. Okay, I got you. All right. Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Cool.
Perfect. Thanks, for joining us. I think everybody can see him all right. Let me know in the chat. Loch Ness One, Doug, Chad, Ben, if you're still around. Yeah, we're just going through. I was telling them about what I was telling you earlier about the craft and how it should be, part of the journey of looking at these guys. And thank you so much, man, for coming in to talk about one of my favorites. I think it's one of your favorites too, Bunnahabhain.
Yeah.
When did you get your start with them? If you can go back and remember.
I don't know. I mean, I've probably tried, like the standard 12-year-old and all that pretty early on.
Yeah.
It wasn't until probably pretty recently that I started really getting into them.
Okay.
Just like everything I was having, I just really enjoyed, so I just started buying a lot of Bunnahabhain.
Gotcha. Did you have a chance to try the 13 Marsala finish by chance?
Yeah, I have a bottle.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's funny because my first experience with that particular one was at an expo, and you're trying the 12, the 18, of course. You get to that one, and wow, I was like, man, it's a ton of marzipan on the nose. I mean, a ton of almonds. It was very heavy on that, but it wasn't too sweet. It was kind of a nice savory mix with it. I really enjoyed that one, and I was talking with Scott from the Scotch Test Dummies, and he got me a sample after that because I liked it so much, and I sent him some Tomaten Decades, I think, in trade or something like that, and I liked it. The second sample so much I had to go out and get my own bottle. So there you go.
Yeah, it's good. I wish I had more than just the one bottle.
Me too. It's empty now, unfortunately.
I only ever saw it at like one store, and I just bought the one, and now that store doesn't even exist anymore. So
That's sad. And it was a local in California deal?
Yeah, it was up in San Jose, kind of by the airport.
Okay. The 18, of course, I'm sure you're familiar with. Is that kind of like your go-to staple, or do you prefer the 12? Or
a little expensive for a go-to, but
I hear you. I got no
good.
joke there.
I have a couple bottles of it, so I've got a backup of the older label one, like the ones you have up there. So.
That black box is interesting. I didn't even know they changed it until recently. They started doing all these tins, I think,
Yeah.
in the replacement. So I'm kind of part of me is wishing that I had a newer one, but I'll eventually get one anyway. But I do like the old school stuff too. Sometimes just to reflect, you know. Have you tried the one of the newer? I don't know. I think it's maybe a few years old. Did you have a chance to try the Kjavanacht by chance?
Yeah, I've had that.
What'd you think about that, or do you remember that one at all?
Yeah, I have a bottle too. I like it. I mean, it's peated Bunnahabhain. It's kind of lightly peated, I would say, though, compared to
Yeah,
other distilleries, you know.
yeah.
And then,
PPM's probably like only. I'm guessing like a 5 to a 6, 7-ish, probably. If it, you know, maybe 10 at the most. That's a
yeah,
guess, though, not a definite, not a label thing.
yeah, and then they have the Tachik, or however you pronounce that weird word.
Oh, the Toy Chick, yeah.
Tachik.
The funny thing about the Cabernet, and I'll go with you here on the Choi Chick in a second, but the Cabernet, the only thing I didn't really get into was the finish of that one. I remember it being kind of underwhelming. You know, it was there. I got some coffee like espresso, a dreamsicle kind of a finish to it, but it was so damn short, and I was praying that it would just go longer and longer, but it was kind of had a
Yeah.
drying effect to it for me. But do you remember anything about that at all? Similar experience or
Uh,
something different?
so I have a bottle. Mine's not open yet, but I've had it a few times. And when I had it, it kind of reminded me of like a Ardbeg 10 kind of style.
Oh, okay, yeah,
So,
I could see that because the
which was
fruit.
good. I mean, it's not it doesn't blow me away or anything. It's a fairly inexpensive bottle, but it's pretty good for what it is.
You're exactly right though about the fruit being a really nice marriage with the peat, and Ardbeg 10 has that kind of marriage. You know, same thing going on. The lemon lime thing I don't get into with the Ardbeg 10, but I'm overly picky. I love my Ardbeg, but you know how it goes. The Choi Chick, yeah, that's a funny one because that reminds me of a lot personally. And I'm talking about the first version, not the new Ada, which we'll talk about in a second. But the first one to me was very reminiscent of a Lagavulin 8. Did you see that at all, or did you find them to be a lot different?
I
Or
could
do you
see
remember?
that. I didn't make that comparison when I had it, but I could see it.
And if you're in the mood for like a breakfast dram, and sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. Last time I had it, I kind of missed my sherry, so I was, you know, a little indifferent about enjoying it. But 9 times out of 10, though, if you're looking for that breakfast burnt toast kind of thing, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, that's why I like the number 2. It's because it's more sherried.
Exactly.
It brings a lot more to it, more depth.
I didn't rate it like the Calvinock. I think I gave it a 3 or 3.5, and same with the Choi Chick. But the Choi Chick Ada, I think is how you say it. The second one, that it was a beauty in comparison. It was, to me, it was almost like night and day difference. Where I was getting close to 4.25, 4.5 on that one because
Yeah.
even though it did feel a little young, maybe in some areas, it didn't let me down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same kind of experience on yours on that one. It kind of reminds me, I guess, of a little bit of an Ugadal, not the same quality, but pretty close.
Yeah.
The sherry, you know, the smokiness maybe not there as much as the power of an Ardbeg, but I thought it, you know, it stood its own pretty well hand in hand with that one. On
And have you had the new Stewart?
That's what I wanted to talk to you about. There's a couple. I mean, I have had, you know, my share, but that's one of the newer ones I have not had, and along with the Owl Cladino, I don't know how to say it. Let me see if I got that up here.
The travel retail one?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah, I haven't had that one either.
I just had it up here too, sadly. Don't you hate it when you have everything like diagrammed out and everything where you want it to be, and then when it's game time, everything's not where you expect it to be? Bunnahabhain. and it was a AL or AN. It started with an AN, I think it was. And Cladach. This is their travel retail from August of 2017. It means the shore aged in sherry cask, bottled at 50%, and sold in 1 liter. Like we love our travel retails that way. Have you had that one before by chance?
No. The only travel retail I've had is the Arvina Grania.
Yeah, that's that one. I'll talk about after you. Go ahead and talk about this. The Through the Dare. Do you like that one?
That one, it's new to their core range.
Oh.
And so you should be able to find it pretty much anywhere. And it's pretty inexpensive. I think it's like $40, maybe a little less. So,
wow.
But it's matured in all sherry casks. And from what I've read, it's like 8 to 10 years old. So not bad.
That's not bad at all.
23%. So definitely it's got some of those sherry bits. It's not like a sherry bomb or anything, but it's definitely sherry. And it's really, really salty and coastal. Like if you want to experience what that Bunnahabhain coastal notes are, it's so obvious in this.
Does it remind you, like, when you talk about the maritime brininess, is it like a Talisker, or is it like more Bunnahabhain's own kind of thing?
I'd say it's more just the Bunnahabhain style, because I mean Taliskers, yeah, they're briny, but I mean especially in this bottle, it's like way more briny.
Wow.
It's probably the most I've ever had. Like you can get it in the 12 and the 18 a bit, but this just is like seawater.
Is that do you know if that's Oloroso sherry they use in that, or if it's
I don't know. It just says sherry.
Let me see if it has any. Sometimes if I get lucky, if I go to Distiller, they have a good database of stuff where they sometimes give you a couple things that you might not be able to get in other areas. But let me see. I'm going to butcher the spelling of this, so I'm just going to look at the for it the regular way. Sadly, they do have so many options that it's hard. There we go. Hard to sometimes fine tune. Yeah, they don't give a cast type. That's really interesting. Let me see if sometimes I have buddies that go in and do their own little reviews and have insight on. They might have insight on like a distillery or something, and they might know exactly what they're using. But no, I don't see anything in detail there. But does it seem very dry at the finish to you, or is this the salts there, or is the finish linger on that one?
No, it's got like a medium finish. It's. I don't think it's dry.
Okay.
I mean, I've gone to it quite a few times now since it's so cheap. So, and I don't mind drinking it. It's easy to find. So.
That's the best kind right there. If you find a really nice taste at like $40-$50, man, you can't get any better than that. Is it easily found in California? Because I have not yet seen that on the East Coast, but it has been a couple months since I've been in the store.
Yeah, it's funny. It's been out for a little while, but I've only been able to pick it up at like specialist, like spirit stores, because I haven't seen it at like a Total Wine or Bevmo yet. Like it's not there for some reason. So.
Lotus is asking if you have a particular region of Scotch that you prefer.
Not really. I kind of like it all.
We're equal opportunity drammers.
Yeah. Bunnahabhain is probably my favorite distillery. I have like 27 bottles of Bunnahabhain. So.
I did not know that about you. Okay.
Yeah.
I knew you liked it, but I didn't know it was your favorite above all. Do you? How close or behind does Brooklady come into play for you? Because that's how when I met you, I think we first got into the black arts together back in the day.
Yeah, I mean I like Brooklady, but I wouldn't say it's a favorite at all. But black art is special. That's
that's its own. Like you have to almost bow to it every time.
Yeah,
have you had the new 6 before?
I haven't had it yet. No.
The 4 and the 5 were spot on. That I even got some truffle I was telling them about out of that 4 that I absolutely loved. At first I called it like mushroom, but I thought, no, it's not mushroom. It's like a refined truffle oil that I'll actually like a little bitty bit of it. And didn't get that on the 5. I wish I did, but the 6 is on the to-do list at some point, but you know how that goes.
Yeah.
Before we go into talk about an overall taste number, I was talking to them a little bit about adding sherry to drams that you kind of like, but you might want to see what a little PX or a little Oloroso or something does to it. Do you ever do that on your own, or do you kind of look like, it's not my thing? Or
no, I haven't done that. I actually don't own any sherry at the moment, so.
Yeah, I was telling them that I had this King's Barnes Dream to Dram. It's from March, 46% inaugural type of release, and been sipping a little bit on that. It was a good 3.5 star inaugural juice, but of course we kind of like to know what did little PX action do with it. So I went and got a little PX bottle, nothing crazy fancy, $30. Got an eyedropper though, because when you're dealing with sherry, you got to be extremely minute.
Yeah.
But it could hold about 10, 12 drops. And, I got my little eyedropper out and I poured a little bit so I could, easy get to it a little easier out of the bottle. And I have to say, it did help it. It did actually taste better. I would definitely prefer a 3-year cask, run in a PX cask or something, but just for an idea, something to play around with. It is fun to do that with, Glenkinchie's another one that I would love to do some PX / Oloroso messing with, Amontillado even.
Yeah. I blended my Glenkinchie to finish it, so.
Did you choose? I did it in Mortlock.
You did what?
What did you choose to go with yours? I did a Glenkinchie 12 and a Mortlock 11.
I don't remember. Something peated, I think it was.
Oh, okay.
Just because I didn't really care for it, and I wanted to kill the bottle. So things I don't care for, I don't try to hold on to for very, very long. I try to just blend it with something and drink it. So.
Yeah, Harry, that's why I got out the old trusty. Another one that I'm gonna play around with here with you. It's this puppy. You know about that one?
Yeah.
It's okay. It's it's a 10-year. It's a Flora and Fauna bottling, which it's something special in itself. But taste wise, if you're in the mood for just something basic, it's fine. But if you want a little something else with it, it's kind of fun to play though. I just wanted to get your take on it. Hey, Steven, good to see you. Lost Cause, Ryan, everyone. Wow. Everyone, good to see you, man. I'll have to get lunch when I'm in the office like I was today. I'll have to send you a text. Really bad about forgetting to try to get in touch with him at some point. If you look at all the bottles we've been talking about, and some of I try not to factor a whole lot of the independents in because they're independent, but they are still part of the distillery, so it does factor. What's your, if on a scale from 1 to 10, what's your taste level with Bunnahabhain? If you had to give them like a score, I'm just curious. I know it's kind of a rough question to answer, but
yeah, that's tough because it really depends on the bottle.
But just taste overall average from the 12 or the 8. The Gordon MacPhail has an 8-year. You might have had too. Going all the way up to the 25 or 30, whatever you've been lucky enough to have. I still need to get a 25. I haven't tried it before, but no, actually, I think I had a sample of it one time, but I never had a bottle of it.
Well, considering they're like one of my favorite distilleries, I guess I would have to give them an 8 or a 9.
Yeah, I was gonna say 9, definitely. I'm thinking. For me, they only missed the mark, and just as a subjective, personal thing with the Calvinock, I was hoping for more, but the Choi Chekada really boosted it up. I love the. We talked about the Erina Grain a little bit. The red wine cask travel retail, that was glorious. I thought. Did you like it a lot?
Yeah, no, I do like that. I've really been into like red wine cask finished matured whiskeys recently. So,
have you ever had the Kilhoman one?
Um,
If you
yeah,
hadn't
I
had
think
the
I have.
Kilhoman, you got
I
to
think
get
I
that
have a
one, man.
sample. I think I have a sample that I may have tried.
Yeah, I've got the. I might have given you one if it wasn't for me. Thank whoever sent it to you because you'll remember that I think taste if you haven't opened it up yet. It's one of my favorites Kilhomans of all time, and I've had about a good 7 or 8 at least of them. The but yeah, like you said, the red wine casks are really nice. Steven's saying that the 25's nights are very approachable. I think I've had that at an expo, but those expos sometimes you're hitting 30, 32 drams in one night, and it's tough to enjoy it all. What you got there? Sorry, my screen's so small on my end. Limited release. Oh man, I gotta blow this one up here. Let's see. Oh, the is it Moine? Is that how you pronounce it?
Monye.
Yeah, that's one of the very few Bunnahabhains I have never tried that I'd love to get my hands on at some point.
This stuff is heavenly.
I can imagine. Is that a PX?
No, it's Bordeaux cask matured.
Ooh, that's
So
specific. I haven't had a
have it.
Bordeaux one. I'm trying to think if I've ever had a Bordeaux period as outside of just the wine, like a cask offering. That's a good question.
I was
I
lucky
could.
enough to be able to pick up 2 of these. So
Ooh, man, how many years on that one did they say?
yeah, it's pretty young. It's like 9 years old.
Still, I mean, that's pretty spot on if you're looking for a lively. I'm sure it's got a lively, nice taste to it.
Yeah, and it's peated, so
There you go. Yeah, you want it to be a little younger for Pete too. Anyway,
8.1%. So
yeah, I think I'm with you on the score. Nine is a good one. I think I might give him an 8 myself. What do you guys think in the chat? If you had to give the taste an overall 1 to 10 score, thinking about all their offerings, not just the core, but their one-offs. The Krokvona, have you had that one?
no.
It's the darker one that's the same size as the Arena Vein. It's another travel retail, but it's a peated one. Oh, it's a nice peated. It's a brown sugary molasses, thick cola almost. There's lots going on with it. It does have a little youth to it, but not necessarily 7.5, 8 for Ryan, 8 for Steven. Yeah, I think it's pretty fair across the board with the. We'll say 8 to 9. I'm going to say 8.5. I think is a good solid, fair taste reflection of Bunnahabhain as a whole. Consistency, like when you get the 12 and the 18 and you already know what's in your head you're looking for. Dram, do they deliver every time?
I think so.
I think so too. Every time I've had a 12, it's been really nice and consistent. Um, what do you guys think? 1 to 10, what would you give it? I'm thinking a solid 8 to 9 is definitely deserved with that. I can't think of anything curveball wise, unless I did get the Covenant again, it was better maybe, but I think it's pretty consistent as far as what they deliver with it because I think it did have it a couple times outside of this bottle and still being the same. Uh, Even though not for me, at least it was consistent and not deviating from from what they were going out there. On the Roy ABCD scale, they ranked very high, an 8. Okay, yeah, I think that's a fair deal overall. But speaking of consistency, is what I'm getting at now. Um, but I think another 8.5 is probably fair, unless someone's got another number to throw out there. I have a feeling you're probably going to say another 9 there, Dram.
I was going to say, might as well just round up to 9.
Yeah. Trooper saying didn't get to the Springbank 10, may try for tomorrow afternoon. Oh, what you drinking, Trooper? Just curious. If you said earlier, I missed it. Variety. Now this is where they really shine, and I had to knock Glen Scotia to a 6 over the But I'm thinking that they have a great variety with their travel retail options and their new core, adding that one underneath their 12 because before they just had the 12, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like their entry level stuff,
Right.
but the Thriller Dare, the 12, they still have the 18. They still have the I think the Choi Check. Well, the Choi Check is kind of a special. Outside of the 25, is there anything else that would be part of their core that you could think of?
No, I think that's it for their core range, and then they've just been doing all the like limited edition releases.
Yeah, I mean, with Moyniers alone, I mean, I've heard of the PX Moynia. I know there's the one you were talking about. They've got a lot of Moyniers over the years, and with all their travel retails, and they definitely deliver the variety.
They have 3 more limited editions coming out like the end of this year. So,
ooh. Do you know what they're called? It's okay if you don't, because I know they use some crazy Gaelic stuff sometimes.
Well, they keep them pretty easily named. So it's just like one's a brandy cask finish, I think.
Oh, nice. Brandy cask. Wow.
Let me look them up.
Logness is asking if they still produce all their scotch at 46.3%, and I think the answer is yes.
Yeah, everything I've had so far is 46.3.
Just looking to see, yeah, 46.3. Sorry for the extension here. 46 on the Choi Check, but they might have just left the 0.3 off and said, "What the hell."
All right.
Easier.
Yeah, so the new ones coming out later this year are 2007 French brandy cask finish,
ooh,
a 2007 port pipe finish, and
that'll be interesting.
And a 1988 vintage Marsala finish.
Oh wow, okay.
Well, that one will probably be really, really expensive. So
yeah, definitely. That port pipe, I wonder if that's going to be a peated attempt or a non-peated attempt. I'm hoping it's non-peated because I tell you what, man, Isla rarely ever gets a peated port whiskey ever correct. It seems like.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
That's good, actually. I think for them, I think that's a smart move because the peated with the the port pipes and like the Glendronach peated portwood, and tried the Kilhoman's port cask matured. And I'm a huge Kilhoman fan. I'll stand up and say they're one of my favorite distilleries, but this is where they missed the mark big time, I think. That's just me. But speaking of
Connor mentions Moynier Oloroso, which I have not had but would really like to.
yeah, they have really a really nice spread across the board when it comes to the variety. So that's why I have to give them a 9 without a doubt. I don't think anybody could really. I mean, because they even have 25, 30. I know there's a 32 I've seen. They have the ages.
They have like a 43, which is odd.
Yeah, it's like a special name for that one too. I remember seeing. I think it's in Gaelic, but I don't remember. It's like EICH something or other. But yeah, it's definitely hard to beat them on variety. I almost would give them a 10 because it's hard to think of anything that they don't provide because they have great travel retail, they have a great core, they have a great Fashil, yearly release typically.
Yeah, I just bought a couple of those.
It's really hard to knock them on that. So we might have to come back to that one and see if anybody has a different.
Have you had many independent bottlings of Bunna?
I've only had let's see, I'm trying to remember. The Gordon MacPhail's is really good. I think it's like an 8-year. They have SNWS has some really nice Bunnahabhains on the side. Rarely ever. The only bottle that going back and thinking, in some distilleries, I could tell you 5 or 6 bottles that were disappointing. But with Bunnahabhain, the Calvinock was the only one where I felt like I was not getting something that I wanted. And to say that about all the things that they offer and what we've had, it's like, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, so right now I'm drinking
Battle
a
Hill. Oh, the 4-year.
4-year-old.
Now I'm really curious about this. Now I haven't had this particular Battle Hill option. I've had some other distillery options. What's your take on Battle Hill, or is that the only Battle Hill that you've had so far?
Um, I think this is the only one I've had so far. I also have a 6-year-old Bunnahabhain and a 9-year-old Bunnahabhain from Battle Hill. So
Wow. Okay.
I haven't tried those yet. But
Those are
this
the okay.
4 is, I mean, it's 4-year-old whiskey, but it's really good. Definitely
Well,
spirity, but
I'm glad it didn't ruin it because I was really kind of scared because I've had a couple, but these were like off distilleries like Glen Ord, Glen Spey kind of thing.
Mhm.
So it's kind of sometimes it's tough if that's like your only option at that distillery. Was it the distillery's fault or was it the independent bottler's fault? That's where sometimes it's kind of
Yeah.
hard to gauge unless you got that experience. That's why I wanted to ask you about that particular independent bottle. I'm glad they did that one well. Huh.
Yeah, it's very salty peat, but and very spirit driven, but it's like fruity, so it's kind of nice.
Brings me to the next deal will be the age options. Like they do have the 12, the 18. They have. It'd be nice if they had a 15. I would say that. Price point wise is it's what's great about a Glendronach or a Macallan even or Glenlivet. They have these middle of the road 15s, Highland Park 15, that kind of thing. Where that's the only thing I think they lack is like a middle before you get to the higher ends, like the 46. They had that Ike Vanna Lear, I think is how you say it, 46, and some of the really old ones. But that's the only thing I would nick them on is maybe having a 15. Did they ever have a 15? I wonder if they ever even tried it.
Not since I've known it.
I say I've never heard of one. I'm surprised, really, but if they have enough people buying I guess the 18 is such a great price point. It's kind of hard not to pull the trigger on that one as it is.
And a lot of the special releases stuff they do is kind of all over the place as far as age statements. So
That's a good point because like the 13 Marsala is an age statement, even though it's not a regular release. But yeah, if I'm going to nick them on anything, the only thing I would ask of them is to make a 15 a regular core option, and that would really, I think, give them a well-defined. You got your Stradare and your 12 entry level. You have your 18, 25 on the high end, but you got that middle of the road thing. I think I'm gonna give them a 7 on the age on that. I think that's a fair deal, unless anyone's got a different take on that. I'm trying to see if I keep messing up my chat and hitting the pop in, pop out thing. There we go. Sorry about that. The Edgewater Liquor Store still has the independent bottle of Maltman 11 Sherry Bunnahabhain for $99. Wow. Maltman does a pretty good job with independent bottlings. Have you, by chance, tried any of those there, Dram?
no, I haven't had anything from them.
I think I had a Glen Keith, a 22-year-old Glen Keith that was a Maltman that was actually pretty decent. I don't think it was worth the $250 or whatever they were charging, but as far as it was tasty, put it that way. Chad saying like MacArthur's a 33 Bunnahabhain. Wow, I've never heard of a MacArthur before. I don't think. Is it a rare one, Chad? Just curious if. And Ryan's right. Yeah, Oklahoma's still a small distillery by comparison for sure. They do a great job for what they have. I mean, for me to only not get into one bottle that they've got, that's pretty damn good, I have to say.
So this is one of my oldest Bunnahabhains.
Oh, nice, 30. Wow, that's a Scotch malt. That's a old particular. That's a good one. Yeah, I haven't had that particular deal, but I have had a lot of their independent bottlings. They've always been pretty good. Have you opened that one yet?
No.
Doesn't look like it. Yeah, that's going to be a special occasion, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You already know what you're gonna wait for as far as is it going to be a promotion or is it going to be a Christmas thing or?
I don't know. For all I know, it could just be a Wednesday.
That's the best kind.
I've got so many bottles. I mean, I've got a lot of stuff open. I have over 100 bottles open, and
Oh,
I
geez,
probably have
man.
another almost 100 that are closed.
You use
Some
that
that are
private
like
preserve stuff?
some. Yeah, not religiously, but sometimes.
I say if you have that
Uh,
many open at once, you almost have to do a little bit. You would think. I don't see how you keep track of it, man.
yeah. Usually, if I pour out of it, then I'll just squirt some of that in real quick. But
Oh, I gotcha. I got some. I haven't used it. I need to start getting into being better about that, especially some of the crazy good stuff that's open. Chad
yeah,
saying James MacArthur's. Have you heard of MacArthur's before?
yeah, I
What's
haven't
it
had
say?
any.
It sounds maybe vaguely familiar, but I don't know if I've even seen that. But a 33-year-old, and that's pretty old. But yeah, Old Particular is definitely a good. I love their Talisker. Got a Castro Talisker not too long ago that was pretty good.
I think they
But
did it.
say again.
I think they did it like an 8-year-old Talisker.
That was the one. Yeah, it was like a cast strength. It was really, really, really tasty. I just saying that he had it in his advent calendar last year. Awesome stuff. Yeah, across the board, pretty damn good. All right, let's
Yeah.
see.
I've got a few other things from Old Particular. I've got a 10-year-old Bunnahabhain, and then I have behind me like a 22 Craig Ellicky,
Oh man,
12-year-old Glen Turret, 15-year-old Othrisk, 12-year-old Ben Rennis, and a 33-year-old Kalila.
jeez, man. Look at those bobblers back there. I'm eyeing all the colors you got behind you.
And then I've got some more older Bunnahabhains right here. The 28 from Alexander Murray. And
Oh,
then this
nice.
is
Yeah,
also a 28-year-old.
that's another one I think that does it pretty good. Is the Alexander Murray's that I've had have been pretty solid across the board,
Mm-hmm.
especially a 22 Glen Keith. I think it was a 22. That was the same IB, and it was really good. How about availability? This is important to me as when I'm looking at a distillery. Is and it's twofold. Not just can I go to the liquor store and buy it. Can I go to the bar and get it? Some of these are going to be really tough because we know that certain distributors have their foothold in, and it's tough to get in sometimes. But as far as California, is it pretty easy to get at the liquor store when you go?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I see the 12 and 18-year-old everywhere. Um, and then it's only like the Kiabanok, Toy Check, and those other ones that you have to go to like Total Wine or something.
Gotcha. So you guys have Total One out there in California?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But you don't have to. You don't have to do it through them. You've got other options there locally too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a number of like, I mean, there's a lot of just liquor stores. Some have surprisingly good selections. Some that I found recently that just look like hole in the wall liquor stores, but they actually get a hold of good stuff. So it's like worth checking back to find things.
Those are
Kind
the
of
best ones.
like the limited editions. Like I've seen this in a few hole in the wall places that
Oh,
I didn't
really?
expect to look. And they were just sitting there because like some of the specialist places they sell out really quick because everyone's looking there.
I
But
need to get
then
my butt
it's
to
like
Cali.
weeks later, I'm looking at these hole in the wall places and they're just sitting on the shelves. So
That's awesome. There's nothing better. You probably heard about that story where I found the Supernova and the Vlasta and the 2008 Ugadal from that guy. I mean, can you believe that? Just walking in
yeah,
and
that's
yeah, there
crazy.
you go, a couple $100. I'm like, what?
No, that's a deal.
It's insane. I love it. It's like the best feeling ever. I'm like, karma was going in my favor that day. It goes to show, though, you always got to stop. You never know what you're going to find. Some dusty old Lefroy 18. Like I found those two Lefroy 18s just sitting on this guy's shelf for $80 each. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, I saw a Lafroig 18 in the store a little while back, but it was like $300. So
Ooh, yeah. I finally found a Macallan Edition 1. $500 though, of course. So yeah, I was like, well, that's no tease.
I have
But
one, but it's open and I'm drinking it. So
oh man, that's the only one I haven't tried so far. Damn.
but I bought
That's
it when
gonna
it
be
was $100. So
there you go. Can you believe some of the aftermarket retail on some of this stuff is insane. The
yeah,
auction prices. It kills me. Like
yeah,
Lord of the Isles, I would love to taste that from Ardbeg, but we're talking $500, $600, $700. I'm like, this is insane.
yeah, yeah. I mean, everything I've purchased, it was with the intent to open it and drink it at some point. But now I have bottles that I haven't opened yet, and that just sell for a lot more than they may be worth to me. So
Yeah,
they're staying closed for now. Like the one above my head right here,
the local
the
barley.
Springbank local barley. That's the
Yeah,
16
I
year
can
old.
tell just by the color.
Yeah, that's the 16-year-old, and that thing I bought for
Ooh.
less than 200. It's selling for like 600 on auction.
I do not doubt it
So
because I kick myself every day. I had a chance to get it for like 190 and I didn't pull the
yeah,
trigger, and I'm like, why did I not pull the trigger?
yeah,
But like you're like me though, where you have so many things we're chasing and so many options and so many opportunities. It's like it's almost by luck that you get to snag something like that.
yeah.
But availability as far as yeah, liquor store here is pretty similar. The 1218 Choi Chip Calvinock I can typically find. Travel retails are little. They were easy online until Master of Malt decided to stop shipping to the U.S. But I'm sure there's other opportunities. I'm not going to get into that. You know how that goes. But there are other ways to skin a cat. But one sad thing about Bunnahabhain is I've never seen them offered in a any type of whiskey bar other than maybe Jack Rose, which is a really big one here in DC. Anything there bar wise? Do you run into it?
No, only on at bars that are like actual whiskey bars. You know.
I mean,
Other
how
than that,
many out of like 10, if you had 10 whiskey bars, how many would you think you'd find one or two that would have it? Or it'd be more?
if they were whiskey bars,
Well, I mean, they don't have to be
whiskey
like
bars,
crazy, like a speakeasy kind of thing, or like somewhat decent, I guess.
then I guess 5 out of 10.
That's pretty good, actually. I think you guys have better access to it there because I literally could not tell you one bar, even some of the speakeasies and self-proclaimed whiskey bars that really carry Bunnahabhain, sadly. They,
Mm.
they sure do have, the Glendronics and the Buchanans and the Glenlivets and the Highland Parks and even the Taliskers, but um, I think it's a Diageo thing. They just really are well placed marketing wise to get their foothold everywhere. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
It's not a bad thing per se, but just thinking out of just pure availability, I'm gonna give them a 6 because of the bar issue. Hopefully, they can find a way. It looks like their owner is a Distell
Distell.
Burn Stewart. I never. Is that like a independent?
I mean, I don't think it's like independent, but they're small compared to others.
Oh, they have Deanston too. Okay.
Yeah, they own Deanston and Tobermory, Lecheg.
Oh, nice. Okay, I am down with Lecheg for sure. Tobermory, I do appreciate. I've had a couple old 21s that were impressive too. So I'm not going to knock that. That's okay. That's interesting. They're bigger than what I thought. Then,
Yeah, I
huh?
like Lechegs. I got a couple right here.
See, I would love to be able to get let's say an 18 Lecheg, an 18 Bunnahabhain as an option because I sure as hell can get Oban, Talisker, and Lagavulin pretty much everywhere I go here.
Yeah,
Is it the same there as well?
yeah, yeah,
Hopefully they can find a way to work on that value for what you're getting. Like when you get the 12, the 18, the money you're spending on some of these higher end, even if they are independent bottles, do you feel like you're getting really, really nice return on your money, or you feel kind of like, yeah, it's it's reasonable, or you feel like, wow, this is not worth the price?
I think they're worth it. The 18's a really good price, at least here, especially for what you're getting and compared to the price of other 18-year-olds on the market.
Doing a quick
and then a lot of like the limited edition releases that have been coming out have been phenomenal, and those usually are like $100. So
that's a great point. They are always pretty reasonably priced. I think you can still get the 18 for about 120-ish.
Yeah.
Up to when I've seen it on the higher end in some places, but those places are always high, the 150, 140 range. But if you do your homework, like you said, you can get it for 120 to 125 in lots of places, all the way from New York to Indianapolis to Connecticut to, let's see if they have anything West Coast, 125 at Del Mesa in San Diego. So there you go. So lots of options there too. So value-wise, yeah, I'm thinking the same kind of thing. I've never felt shortchanged. The Kelvinock might have been kind of one of the only one I was kind of like iffy on what I was getting for price-wise. But if that's the only one out of all the options, I can't really ding them too much. I'm thinking it's a good 7 on that. Let me get my chat back up.
I've bought some expensive ones. I haven't, like this guy.
Ooh, what do we got there?
This is the Palo Cortado.
Oh, yeah. That's the one I was talking about recently, and this is a new one, right?
Yeah, it's fairly new.
Is that the 13-year-old one?
No, this is like 20 years old.
Oh, wow.
It's 19, but it's almost 20.
I think I had a taste of something new that was sort of like that, but it was a lot younger. It was like a 11 or 13-year-old. It was similar to the style. Is that the only or is that the only one they've done like that? Do you know?
They did another one, I think, for like Fischl.
That's the one I think I was able to try.
Hand labeled one.
Yeah, it was like a written label, I believe. They ran out of it really, really fast at the expo that I was at. I remember trying to see if I can pull up the.
Yeah, so this was 20 years, and it's a special sherry, but it was also like $500. So,
oh my!
You take that and compare it to other things around that age, and it's definitely more expensive. But I really like Bunnahabhain, and a lot of the other stuff has been phenomenal for something I only paid $100 for.
Exactly. Yeah, the 11-year-old was the one I had. It was a 55.6 Palo Cortado, and that's a lot different than the one you just showed. Wow, that's crazy. It looks like they had a 2005 version that was really, really good, but it was in 2015, and they only had 624 bottles. So finding that is probably going to be a pain just as much as finding the one that you got there.
Yeah.
Is that, let's see, the one you had, is that the 97 54% oak cask? Palo Cortado cask finished one? No, that's only 20. Never mind. Yours was older than 20.
No, that sounds like 20 years old, 54.9%.
Okay. Yeah, it must do that every once in a while. I got to get my hands on a bottle of that at some point, because that's one that what was they were talking about it. I think Scott from the Scotch Test Dummies was talking about Palo Cortado. There's something special about that cask that's different than other sherries or something. What is it again?
Yeah, so I don't know a lot of the details, but essentially it's originally designed to become like Amontillado or something like that, but then like the floor on the sherry doesn't develop properly, and so they end up just proofing it up and aging it kind of like Oloroso.
Okay.
And so it becomes this Palo Cortado. So, and it's kind of back in the day it was more accidental. Now they know enough that they can legitimately make it, but
kind of force it, but not too
it's
forceful.
pretty rare, and it's not made very often. It's only like 1% of sherry sales every year. So
Yeah, that's what I think I heard, and I was surprised at how often. And Bunnahabhain's the only one that I can think of off the top of my head that's doing it. Do you know any other distilleries that's pulling that off right now?
So Deanston, which is also owned by Distell, they did a distillery exclusive. I think that was Apollo Cortado cask.
Wow.
We have another one that's like a limited edition that's coming out later this year, along with all their other ones. I think I've seen one other person do it. I know when I was in Seattle, I was in a bar and I had a Ben Nevis that was finished in Paulo Cortado sherry.
Oh, Benevis, wow.
Yeah, it was
Did the
independent, but yeah.
did the Benevis one that you have, the ones that I've had have always had like a sulfuric, funky kind of a note, which I don't mind. I actually like it. Did that
Yeah.
have that as well?
Yeah, it did. It was
Okay.
sulfury, nutty funk. Yeah.
Steven saying that Glengoyne had a Paulo Cortado a while back. That would be a really interesting one. The only thing that irks me about Glengoyne is they're really a thin mouthfeel. You have to be in the mood for a really, I don't want to say watery, but less than heavy mouth coat, I guess. And Ryan was asking you if you've had the Marsala cask. I think of the Bunnahabhain.
Yeah, I was actually typing him back, but
Oh, okay, sorry.
so which one? If he's talking about the new one that's coming out or might be out, then no. But if I have a 13-year-old Marsala, which yes, I've had, and that's really good.
That's the only one I've had too. I haven't had the other one you're talking about at all.
Yeah, the new one's the one of the special limited editions coming out. That's that 1988 one, which will probably be $600-$700, I'm sure.
Well, take a little break. I'm going to pour something here. I'm going to pour this Tinnick. I think that's how you say it. Do you remember this one at all, the Tinnick tin?
I think it's
Not much about it.
maybe, but no, I've never had anything from them.
It's okay. It's a decent solid tin. Bourbon / oaky, run of the mill. Nothing out of the norm. At least it's not green. But I'm going to do a more experimentation because that was successful, I think, with the King's Barnes, the Dream to Dram, whatever that one was. That was pretty successful with the PX. So I'm going to try maybe with this and see how well this handles it. Hopefully, it's something similar. Maybe I just like PX Sherry a lot.
I like the accent. What should I pour? And
How about let's see. Are you in the mood for savory or sweet or fruity or what do you think?
No preference.
No preference. Well, I see some nice Balvenies up there. You said I got some nice Glenmorangies too. What do you think about that Melshine? I'm curious because I usually like sweet ones. That one wasn't as sweet as I was hoping it was going to be. Like the Tussle, I thought was a lot better than the Melshine, but that's just me.
I think it's pretty sweet. I mean, I've drank it once after like having some other stuff, and could have sworn I was drinking bourbon.
Wow. Okay.
So I find it pretty sweet.
Did you try the Tussle already?
Yeah.
Did you find that one sweeter? Do you remember if you thought it was even more so, or do you remember anything about that one?
I don't think it's sweeter than the Milshin.
Oh, okay. Huh. Maybe I was just having a weird.
I mean, it's definitely sweet because it's Glenmorangie, right? But
yeah, that's true. Once you get to that level, it's hard to discern one from another. I like them for that, though. I love La Santa for the really nice strawberry raspberry jam I get out of that one. Some people get a lot of orange out of it. I don't remember a lot of orange, but I'm sure it's there. But if I had to pick something, man, I think that you probably would either want to That long row looks tasty too. Are you feeling more like a long row or a Balvenie, you think?
I'll have a long row.
That sounds good, actually.
Which one?
Oh man. Oh, that purple one looks tasty. If it's not a killer,
That's the,
30-year-old one or anything.
no, it's an old 18.
Is it open or closed?
It's open.
I think you should pour you a little bit of that. It's 46, 18 year. It's a peated, but though, are you mind starting with a little peat?
I already had the Bunnahabhain, which was heavily peated.
Oh, there you go. You're not messing your pellet up then.
And then I got a couple reds.
Nice. Yeah, I was going to ask you about the red. Would be what I was going to point toward if you wanted that instead. But can't go wrong with either one, I bet. Do you find long rows as appealing as the normal Springbank stuff? Because I had a Hazelburn that I wasn't really too into, but it was a Barolo cask. I probably just don't like the Barolo cask finish.
Yeah, I have the Barolo cask too.
Did you like that one? It just didn't really do a whole lot for me on that. I've heard that the Oloroso is really good at 14 though.
Yeah, I have a 13 Oloroso, which is phenomenal. The Barolo's fine, I guess.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was kind of indifferent about that one.
I don't think I've had Barolo wine, so I guess I'm not really sure what it's supposed to taste like.
Me neither, but
it didn't seem to do much. So
yeah, me neither. But I gotta try more wine by itself outside of the cask to really get more into what it's I guess supposed to be overall before it even gets to the whiskey. But if it doesn't work with whiskey, it doesn't really matter either way too, I guess. Good to see you, Swami. I'm glad you were able to stop by. He said drink the Tamdu.
I do have a Tamdu. Batch strength, batch one.
Yeah, I kept an open one for a buddy of mine. He's got an old Jura's 16 Jura's own version because I've been wanting to try Jura, but I've heard horror stories of their old line and their new line, and like the 16 is like the only good one or something.
I'm not picky. There are very few things I dislike. I mean, there's a lot in the category of it's fine, but there's very few things that I'll say are shit. But Jura is I haven't really had any that I've liked. I had some of their old stuff, didn't like anything. I've tried all their new stuff, and the 18-year-old was like the only one I thought was drinkable.
Gotcha. Did you ever have specifically the 16 Jura's own?
No, I don't think I had that one.
Okay. Well, if I get my hands on it sometime, I got to do a swap with good old buddy Bob H. But if we can do a swap, I'll get you a sample then and see what you think of it, just for giggles.
Okay.
We haven't done any trading in a while. We should do a little trade every once in a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one that I got to get my paws on because I want to try and give them at least a fair shot for the distillery. But yeah, it's not going to be a pleasant show if it's all negative.
Yeah.
But it is the state of the distillery. The state is what it is.
I don't count it all out. I keep trying it. I've tried all their new stuff, and I took effort to do it, and it still just don't care for it. There's people that do, and that's great, but to me, their peat that they're using always tastes like rotten wood to me.
Ooh, yeah, that's not good. Yeah. They're in islands, same as kind of Telex region, right?
Yeah, it's right across from Isla.
Okay. So, okay, gotcha. I think Aaron is in the same kind of area, Arran. Aren't they in the kind of the similar? Are they islands as well? I can't remember if they're Highland or Island.
Aaron was more south.
Are they? I get mixed up with some of the geographic deal there.
Or maybe that's Mull.
No, I'm sure you're probably spot on because Well, they consider it islands, but yeah, some of those islands are all over the place once you get outside of Isla slash the mainland. So it's kind of hard to. I'm surprised they have their own region like that, but it is what it is. That's one that I was hoping I was going to like a lot more. I mean, the 16 Aaron's pretty good, but for the price and age, I was hoping to get a little more out of it. I got to get my hands on a different bottle. That's all.
Did you see Aaron just rebranded?
No, I didn't know they did.
Yeah.
Oh,
New range, new bottles, new labels, new design.
well, that'll be one to sink our teeth into and see what it's like. It'll be worth a dive because it wasn't bad per se. It just didn't give me outside of some nice fruit features and the typical oaky bourbon, cask, and
Yeah.
wasn't a whole lot of else going on. But hopefully that's a good sign that they've changed some things or independently owned. It looks like so.
Yeah.
I guess they have a little more range to experiment with and a big conglomerate overseeing every little thing they do.
Yeah, their new bottles are kind of plain looking, but I kind of like them. They look clean.
Do you like the new ball bearer look, or do you like? I miss the old one. I think comparatively.
Yeah, I like the old look.
Yeah, that's one thing that I was hoping they didn't change because I do like the vintage age that you get out of the ball bearer. I mean, because even if it wasn't like a 12, 15, 18, you still knew what you were getting your hands on.
Yeah.
Overall, crap.
I think the biggest upset with the whole Babbler thing was just the price increases. So.
Oh, I didn't know they did the price increase too. Jeez.
Yeah.
That's harsh. That's the thing. But Tybev, I guess, is who runs them now. Is it Tybev? I think it might be.
Sounds right.
The yeah, they did the same thing with Old Pulteney too. It seems like they're kind of gathering, I guess, the reins and pulling back. As far as craft, we were talking about the chill filter coloring. I don't think Bunnahabhain does a whole lot of either one of those things. I've always seen no color and no chill filtering on all their bottles. Matter of fact,
I think it's rare that a distillery would do it for some bottles and not others. So I think it's
good. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. I'm just surprised when we were talking earlier. Dram and I were having a little discussion before the show. And Ardbeg is one of those distilleries that actually you were completely correct. I verified that they do not color or chill filter or anything. They only label their bottles with the chill filtering. I'm surprised they don't put the no coloring on them. And I'm thinking it's got to be maybe they did one bottle at one time or something back in the 90s, for all we know. But thankfully, you're right. They're pretty consistent what they do or do not. And thankfully, Bunnahabhain is not one that does coloring or chill filtering that I can find any. And they do offer some higher ABV stuff as well, thankfully. On the travel retails, at least. I know that the Elena Grena, which is this guy, no, that's a 46.3 as well. I think it might be the Krogvona. Give me 1 second. I'm having to stretch my cord here a little bit. I think this is the one. This is a 50%. So the Krogvona is a 50. But I guess I might have to say that is kind of, I don't say disappointing, but the Moynias, don't you have some higher ABVs on some of those Moynias? And have you seen some different ones than 46.3?
Yeah, a lot of their limited edition ones are usually cask strength. So, like this guy is 58.1. The PX one that they did a couple of years ago is 54.3.
That's perfect.
The Feast Seal bottles, those are both cask strength, 54.2, 57.4. So
I think they do run the gamut. They do have lots of variety for the ABV, even outside of the 46.3, which is kind of nice because with their core, you're going to at least get a 46% flat bottom great. And if you are looking for that cast strength or something out of the norm, you can go for that 50, 54, 55, 60%,
Yeah.
option. So that should bump their score up definitely on the craft. That's massive.
And I have a hand fill bottle from this distillery, the Mounier Marsala,
Nice.
and that's 53%.
Wow. I bet that's really good too. Have you opened up that one yet?
No,
Oh, okay.
but I did not fill it myself, unfortunately. I have not been there, but someone else has and gave this to me. So.
Yeah, I was looking if when Aquavite was over at Lafroy, he got me a hand sample, and that was really, really nice. It was amazing. I wish I had something comparable to getting, but I wouldn't dare get him some Sagamore rye, or send him something like that. That'd be almost sacrilegious.
Yeah.
If they get Sagamore rye, I'm sure they're great, but I don't even like drinking outside of Scotch. So, hey, there's Seth. Good to see you. I missed you coming in earlier. It looks like. Let me see something. That's weird. I see him on one part of the show, but I don't see him on the other part. That's
this
weird.
long row is very different. I obviously haven't had it much because
The 18.
pretty full still.
What is it not hitting you right? Is it the peat or is it
No, it's good. It just I'm not really getting peat on the nose, just because it's more of that earthiness, And after having the heavily peated 4-year-old Bunnahabhain, it doesn't really smell like peat.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I guess
It smells a lot more fruity. So.
Do you get any like Dunnage warehouse funky kind of leathery goodness?
A little bit on the nose, but there's a lot of citrus in there. It's a lot more on the palate.
I tell you what, man, you're gonna have to. I know you think I'm crazy, but you should get you a bottle of PX Sherry and try this because this tastes so much better than it does without it. For some of these 10, 12-year-olds that you're kind of like, it's a 2.5 star whiskey, which if you're like me and you tried like the Glen Keiths and the Glen Ords and the Glen Spays and the Tom Navulins and all these weird, one-offs, you gotta have to dress it up a little bit on the side.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, I usually just blend it with like a peated thing.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I think now that I'm remembering that Glen Kinchy I did, I mixed it with Talisker 10.
Ooh, that would be interesting. I could see why it might not work. Well, I think you had a good idea though, because the 18 has got a lot of floral notes, so you would think that the 10 could handle all the floral light properties of the Glenkinchie, but I guess it just didn't marry well. That's sad though.
Too much thought. I was just trying to get rid of the bottle of Glen Kinchy, but
I hear you. It does take a lot of practice because, like, just looking at the way John Glacier does it, for example, the 70% this and the 20% that and the 0.5% that and the 0.5% of this other one, it does make a huge difference when you are playing around with the little the ratios of the blends and how much of the peat versus how much of the sherry or just the base and what base are you using and that kind of stuff. One thing I learned from him about blending was he loves Kleinleich, and if you don't have a bottle of Kleinleich 14 to blend with, you're losing out. You probably already got one back there somewhere, don't you?
Got one back there, yeah.
That's like his favorite extender, he told me. He likes to use that for the base extender for any flavor, which makes sense to me because it's a great by itself, I think.
I also have this independent bottling of
Signatory Kleinleich 2008 bourbon barrel 174 to 224. Wow, that looks really good. Natural color 57.9. Damn. It's too bad. You got to invent, man. You got to invent like a little tube that I can plug into my USB cable, and you got your tube with your USB cable. You pour something in that, and I can have a sip. That would be awesome. I know I'm losing my mind. It's like ultimate wishful thinking. With that said, though, I think the overall, man, it's another solid. Really, I'm gonna have to give. They're pretty much on par with Ardbeg, a little bit higher than the Glen Scotia. I think Bunnahabhain's is sitting pretty at A minus. The only thing I would really hope that they would change about what they do is get their asses in more bars. Let me go and order, a 12 and enjoy a meal with it. For God's sakes.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty good. That's really the only thing. Maybe throw some better. Maybe like a 15-year-old statement might help out a bit too. But other than that, they're sitting, I think, pretty well established, and for especially being such a small guy, on a huge playing field with these guys that run. I got Bacardi and Diageo and Brown Foreman, and I mean, it's just, some of these players are huge. Edgerton alone is massive.
I don't mind it being smaller and more unknown. That way, I can get the bottles easily.
Yeah, that's true. It's a tough thing. It's like availability. Even though that might get better, you might lose on taste, consistency, other factors. So, just because it's available, I guess, does it really mean it's an issue? But it does suck, man, when I can't get my Bunnahabhain 12 at least.
Yeah.
You're out and about.
I don't frequent bars really that often because look at all this.
Yeah, same here. We occasionally go to one. There's a nice speakeasy in Annapolis called Dry 85. It's got a pretty decent selection typically. Of course, there's Jack Rose in DC. I've never been there, but I've heard there's like thousands and thousands of bottles just everywhere. But that's one of those, SMWS partner type bars that have like the Ardbeg, the old Arianan Based, they have pours available of that stuff, and that's a $400 or $500 bottle. So,
aren't you close to DC?
Say again?
Aren't you close to DC?
Yeah, that's where I work. I live in Severna Park, which is basically.
You haven't been to Jack Rose?
I've never been there. I know, it's sad. It's hard to it's hard enough to spend a couple $300 or $400 on a bottle. It's really hard to go and spend $300 or $400 on a couple glasses of scotch. Because I was talking to Rabbit and Red. He's a guy that lives in DC that does some reviews as well on the side. And Rabbit was saying that if you're gonna go, you got to go and just think to yourself, I'm gonna spend $300 or $400. Bam, not even think about it. Like it's a done deal. That way you don't feel weird about it or anything. And that's not even counting if you're going to eat dinner and all that kind of stuff too. So he said he wants to take me up there sometime, but I haven't talked to him in a bit. I'll have to try to see if he wants to go. But at some point, I'm going to talk my wife into just saying, hey, we're just going to have to do it. But it's about an hour and a half. I'd have to take the drive to the train, take the train in kind of thing. But it's not undoable.
I just got a fishy note on this long row.
Fishy?
Yeah, kind of fishy.
Oh, it's like kippers, like sardini, or
yeah, a little, or like yeah, or even more like it's not fish, or like a caper.
Yeah. No, I know what you're going for. Yeah, like the lox / but more of fishier than salmon lox kind of thing. I kind of got that same kind of feeling off the Kelpie. It's an Ardbeg, like a sauerkraut German breakfast kind of thing going on along with the sardine kind of kippery fish flavor deal. That Black Sea cast they used for that went off, man. It was so good. I'd never have seen that again, or I'm not even sure if that'll even happen again. But have you heard of them ever doing like a Black Sea cask type other than that one?
No. I've never even heard of it before this one, so.
What'd you pull off the shelf there?
I pulled off Kelpie.
Oh, there you go. It's I do have a little bit of the CR, believe it or not, the committee release somewhere. I
This
killed
one?
my I killed both. Yeah, that one. I killed both of my bottles, but I did have a guy that sent me a sample of the committee release. I might have to pour me some of that here in a little bit, because I remember that being so good. You had to be in the mood for something very salty and acidic, though. It's
Yeah.
that Black Sea cask is reminiscent of a Fino sherry to me in a lot of ways, but I love the German Spätzle mustardy, peaty goodness that came out of that bottle. I don't know, a lot of people weren't into it, but I actually like the savory aspects of it a lot.
Yeah, apparently those casts were pretty active and did a lot because it did a lot more than they were expecting. So they actually just added like some Ardbeg 10 to it.
Wow,
That's why it kind of tastes a little like Ardbeg 10 as well.
that's a good point, and it's a really good and also a good point that you can take something that I might not necessarily like just by itself, like our Big Ten, and put it in a cask, man, and it just does wonders to it, where it loses all that lemon lime overbearing aspect to it and gives it a whole different dimension, the flavor.
Yeah, Kelpie was actually the last one of their yearly releases that I bought. I never bought Grooves, and I didn't buy Drum.
Well, I think you might be missing out on the grooves, and I do have an unopened bottle back here that I'll give you a sample if you need one.
Yeah,
Um,
I've had it. I've had both. Just not enough to buy a bottle.
didn't like, yeah, the grooves I did like off the bat. I like both the CR and the limited release version of it. The drum was kind of a letdown to me because I was hoping for a little more cask influence. I think the Risky was really rather young, and it
Yeah.
just didn't
Yeah.
pull it off for me. And it pains me to say that about Ardbeg because they should know I'm their biggest fanboy ever, but I don't think they did a great job with that one. I don't know the reasoning, if it's just the way it's kind of like the port aspect. You can't do port whiskey very well, maybe with Isla. Maybe it's the same thing with the rum cask. I don't know. I don't think anyone, is there anyone else ever tried a rum cask that you could think of in Isla? I don't think Kilhoman's even done it.
It wasn't that they were bad that I didn't want to buy a bottle. They weren't spectacular, and there were a lot of other things I wanted to buy instead, so I just never bought them.
Yeah.
I can't afford everything, unfortunately.
I hear you there. I have the same problem. But I think the grooves might be worth having some later if you can find it, especially the limited release. Because kind of like the Perpetuum, some of that stuff lasts forever, and I still see Perpetuum or Verdes on the shelf, believe it or not. What you got there?
Stephen Connor mentioned it.
Ah, the 14PX. Oh my goodness gracious. You're killing me, man. That's on my unicorn bottle list. That one exactly is the PX
Yeah, this is the only
14.
one I have. So
Uh, and let me guess, it's unopened and you're not going to open it for a
it is
while.
unopened. I've been searching for another one to replace it so I can have two.
Oh
Still bin that
man.
will remain closed. I
Chad's
actually
saying
did
that.
find one, but it's like
Ooh,
$325. So
that's a bit pricey.
I
Weren't they
haven't
like
pulled that.
$200 at the beginning or something?
I know when I bought this when it first came out, it was $80.
Oh, that's so painful.
Yeah.
Chad's saying that Springbank does a rum cask very well. That's one I have had a lot of Springbanks, but I haven't had a rum cask yet. I'll have to keep my eye on that one. Oh, Steven's having a dram of the PX14 right now. That bastard. You're killing me, Steve.
I haven't
You're
even
killing me.
tried it, actually. I don't even know what it tastes like.
Oh, I can imagine. I mean, just kick back and close your eyes and think. Okay, the greatness of a 12 Bunnahabhain.
Can I just take the 12 and add some PX to it? Will that do it?
No, no, you gotta throw that sucker in the cast for a couple of years and get it out at 50, whatever the percent was on that. Man, that's just unbelievably good. I could bet. DHS saying if you like, oh, good to see you, DHS. I didn't know you were there. If you like Springbank in rum, wait till you try Long Row and Chardonnay. Drool. Oh wow. I've heard of some of these. Yeah, some of these guys are getting into these Chardonnay and more white wine casks.
Yeah,
I wonder how well that's done.
I've heard about that long row of Chardonnay and heard it's amazing.
You've heard good things too.
Yeah,
I'll have to try it. It's kind of after being burned by the Barolo, I'm kind of like, but I'll have to give it another try because I did like the. I think the Pet the Nuff or whatever that one, the Tullibardine, the Murray second release. It's like a Chateau how you say it, Chateau de Pouf or something. It's some specialized one. I can't remember if it's white or red though. That might be a red wine. I was trying to compare something white, but can't. Brent's asking why does Kentucky have to be against all of this? This is more for basketball season, man. This doesn't. I don't get into college football, so that's more of a basketball season, sure. But it was clean and had to put something on. Steven saying the champagne cask that Bunnahabhain put out and disliked it. I never knew they had a champagne cask. That's crazy. Have you heard of that one?
Yeah, I haven't tried it.
Was there a age statement at all on that one? Do you know, Stephen or Dram?
Don't remember.
I was gonna say I don't ever even remember. Chess saying the Springbank 21 has a rum cask. Oh, see, I never had the 21. That's one. I was actually kind of. I love the 12 and the cask strength and the 10 and let me show his comment here. The 15 was a bit of a letdown, so I was kind of nervous about going to the 18s and 21s, but hopefully they get a lot better with the age. Do you like the 18 and 21, Dram? Have you had Springbanks?
Yeah, I have an 18 up there, and I like it. I think I might prefer the 15.
Oh, you like the 15 better? Wow. Maybe I'm missing the 15 and the 18 up. Maybe it was the 18 that I didn't like as much, and the 15 was better. That's possible. Sorry. Go ahead.
And the 12 cask strength is obviously good. I haven't had the 21 though.
Okay. It's on the wish list, but it's expensive as hell. Like the 19 alone, I had a 19 forecast, and they wanted like close to $300 for that one. And I was like, "Jeez!" It was really good though.
Yeah.
It had lots of basil-y, sagey, herbal goodness with lots of other good, fruits and savory, sweet aspects. So it was a well-rounded blend. I don't say blended, but a good formation of flavor and all, and nothing overpowering, really, which was really nice. But yeah, I'll have to take a look at Springbank in detail later down the road. That is on the to-do list. I'm a huge fan of a lot of their stuff. They have, all their advantages are different. They do change, and they're more of a craft deal. They do their own bottling. They do everything in house, which you gotta have to have some extra respect for. Lightness of Sand, I think all distilleries will have to whatever to create a buzz, whatever helps sell their whiskey, finishing this and that. Yeah. Well, there's good and bads to both sides of it. Like some people don't mind all the Gaelic expressions for the NASs, and some people think it's it's not good for the culture, and it's kind of getting away from age statements, so it's bad for whiskey in general. But I kind of see both sides to it. Once you run out of certain years, which these guys do because they sell so much of it, you're gonna have to creatively come up with some sort of new batch somehow. And if you have to use different years and they're not all at least 10 or 12, they're not going to put an age statement on it. If they have to throw some 7 or 4 or 6 in there with their 18 and 15 or whatever, then it is what it is. And I think that happens to Ardbeg. I know a lot because I think the Ardbog itself was like a 13 year or something, but they just didn't put a statement on it because it had a little bit of like some younger stuff in there.
Yeah, that's a tricky situation, and a lot of people who really want that age statement would say, well, you should just put a 7 on it. But it's like, if you were making a whiskey and it had 7-year-old stuff and some 20-year-old stuff, would you want to put a 7 on it?
Exactly. That's where
you have to sell it for more than a normal 7-year-old would cost. So it's probably going to cost more than your standard 10-year-old, and that's confusing, right? Because technically putting a 7 on is more misleading than having a no age statement.
it's very true.
But technically, if you wanted an age statement on it, I mean, technically everything has an age statement because it's at least 3 years. So could you just put at least 3 years on everything, and would that make everybody happy?
No.
Again, it's just because they can only put the minimum. I think that can be more misleading than an NAS, but
that's the tough part.
There's also plenty of ways around it that distilleries can do. They can, share the information not on the label, or put it on their website. Make it available other ways that they won't get in trouble for. So, and there are some that do that. So,
I wish that did happen more often. I will say that. I think you brought up a good point because, yeah, being transparent in some, at least for some, in some ways, I think makes up for a lot of that ticky-tacky. Well, what is it? What am I really getting? But if it's about the taste to me, and if it tastes good, and if you have a way to make it what you want by adding 1 drop of water or neat, or adding a whole big teaspoon, and that's what it's all about anyway, really.
Yeah,
is overall the taste. But it is kind of tough with the whole, you got to put at least the least amount of years on the statement. No one wants to do that, and that's exactly why we have all these Valkyries and Valknuts and Voyages and what all that kind of stuff. Let's see. I'm just catching up in the comments a little bit. DSS is saying Compass Box put out a 3-year-old blend for $300. Just age state them.
Yeah, but they did that to prove the point that being able to only put the youngest is silly when you should be able to put all of them on there. But they're saying that's why there are no age statement whiskeys. Not that they're against them, obviously.
Yeah, I'm with Dram on that one. That I think they're doing the best they can with what they have to work with and the way the laws are set right now.
Because I think they were saying, look how much this doesn't tell you. We put a 3-year-old on it, but there's a lot older whiskey in here that we can't tell you about.
Yeah, sadly too. Is he talking about that Tobias one? Is that the one that's the 3-year, or is that a different one?
No, the 3-year-old's the 3-year-old deluxe or whatever they call it.
Oh, okay. That Tobias and the it's like Tobias and the something. What is that one called?
Tobias and the Angel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that pretty good? Have you had that one?
I've had it actually. I know a guy who had a bottle. Yeah, that's some old stuff. I think 25-year-old. Oh yeah, DH still 25 and 35-year-old. I think it's like Kalila and Kleinlish, I want to say.
It sounds like what he would perfectly want to get into because he's huge on both. Well, he likes a lot of Ardbegs too, but the Kalila, the Kleinlish, and the Ardbegs he uses with a lot of peated blends. That's for sure. I'm not sure if he does a lot of Kalila. Is this one peated? This Tobias and the Angel one?
Yeah, it's got Kalila in it, and I think it's a little peated. It's not crazy.
But the reason I ask is Kalila does a lot of unpeated options too, and I didn't know if they were doing that or not.
Yeah, I agree with you. Still not sure it's worth that price. It was nice, but yeah, not.
Yeah, it's like $500 or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy. The that's the thing. It's they charge it because there's some crazy people that will pay it to get their hands on it. Like the new Ardbeg 19, I'm like, I'd love to get my hands on it, but $300. My goodness gracious. That better be the best stuff ever for that kind of price. It's like, but I guess it is compared. I mean, if you're looking at the Bruichladdich, the Black Arts is 23. It's a little older though, so there's a price premium on that new 19. I think for 300. Don't you think? Seems a little pricey to me.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't that surprised because it's Ardbeg, but I would have liked to have seen it more around the 18-year-old prices of other things.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I wish they had more of an option is they do great with the 10s and the weird NAS, section, but as far as a 15, 17, 18, they just don't have it in the middle, and it'd be really nice to be able to, I don't mind spending a couple $100 on something if it's 15 to 18, but 300 for a 19 is just, man.
Yeah, I mean, makes me wonder because I think they know people are gonna be all over that, and so if they put it down at something that was a little more reasonable, since it's now part of their core range, it would probably sell out really, really fast. So,
no,
because I bet, I mean, I would have liked to see it around like 180, which is still pretty up there for an 18-year-old or 19-year-old, but would have been more reasonable. But
I'll never forget when I walked to the store when I was looking at, I'm not a huge Dalmor fan or anything, but I can get into the 18. It was a memorable taste. I thought it was pretty good for what the price used to be. And when I went recently and they jacked it up like $60, $70, I'm like, 20, 25 is a reasonable inflation kind of a bump, maybe, or if you're getting short on resources and whatnot. But literally, like going from 150, 160 to 220, I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
yeah.
Can't do it. Just can't justify spending that kind of money on something. And the craft isn't there. They're already culling the hell out of it. They barely give me 40 to 43, 48% if I'm really lucky. And I'm sure it's chill filtered to hell if it's that low on ABV, and it's like, damn. So I'm gonna get Swami to do the State of Dalmor with me. It's gonna be a freaking slaughter.
Dalmor is expensive.
It's just crazy. I hope to God that Diageo doesn't beat the shit out of like the Lagavulin like they do some of these other brands. It's just like I hope that it doesn't get to that level, that point, because actually no, they're not even. Who owns that? Alliance Global Group. I don't even know who the hell that is. Is that like a one-off, I guess? What does Alliance have besides Dalmor, if anybody? Do you know?
Jura.
And Tomnavolen, which is another grain, another, not grain, but another, probably what you would use for a blend or something. Yeah. That's just sad that, Jura, and I'm not seeing anything really. Also, a Fettercairn, I guess. Dalmor. That explains a lot right there. I thought it might have been a Diageo thing, but it's not. Oh, that's interesting. Well, thankfully, if they do mess around with it too much, they can't destroy the other things like Talisker and the ones that Diageo has. So that's good, actually. Well, I really appreciate you sticking with me and going over. It looks like Bunnahabhain's a really good state. Like we were talking, there's not really much, exception of maybe a 15, maybe being available at a couple bars, but that's definitely an ultra first world problem. I'd say.
Talisker Dark Storm. What about it, Trooper?
That is a good one. I've only had it once off of a sample. I never had my own bottle of it. It would look pretty up there with the other three I've got, though. That's on the get list, but that's a Travel Ritual exclusive. That's a tough one to find unless you're getting something off the.
TH Sill says he hears the Dalmor 25 is epic, but it's over $1,000. I've had the Dalmor 25, and it's pretty good. I mean,
Is it epic though?
Yeah, see? It was good. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't. It didn't taste like $1,200. So
$1,200? Seriously?
yeah,
Can't you for like what's the Lagavulin 25 run? Isn't it like 17 or something? 1,700, I think it is. I mean, that's just ridiculous. It's like almost double.
yeah. I think I've had Macallan 25 as well, and I think I saw that today for like 2,200. So
Callan 25, man. That's another. I mean, they can. I don't say it's justified, but they can charge a little more. McKellen's been visible and profound for a long, long time. Everybody knows them, and they've always had a pretty good run. There's very rare you ever run them across a bad McKellen. I think they're pretty consistent, but
I haven't bought much Macallan recently. I haven't bought it since edition number 2.
That's one of my favorites. Is the edition 2.
Using American oak a lot more, and it just hasn't done it for me. I keep getting this flat soda taste on everything.
Did you like the edition 2?
Yeah, that's good.
What was the one that you weren't getting much from?
A lot of the stuff they've been releasing after that. So like the double cask, all the things where they're using a bunch of American oak. So double cask, edition 4 even, and the classic cuts. They all have that flat soda taste to me.
I gotcha. The funny thing about the classic cut is when I had a 2018, I think it was, or 2017. It was either 17 or 18. It was the one before, and when I opened it, the initial taste I thought was good, but after like once I got past the neck pour, basically toward the about I'd say look at the center of the bottle, it started getting that weird, almost, yeah, I don't know how to explain it. The sherry just wasn't sitting right, and I got the same thing from the Highland Park Dark Origins. Like when I first got it, I was enjoying it, but once I got like halfway through, it just kind of was flat or something. I don't know how to explain it. I think we had a similar, but thankfully I liked it so much in the beginning that it didn't sit very long, so I got through the bottle pretty quickly. Saying that for DHS, because yeah, I mean I didn't dislike it. I think it might have been in 2018, but I can't remember. Hey Samuel, good to see you, man. I know you were joining last there from Arizona. Lagavulin 25 is only $1,200 at Total Wine, Steven's saying. Yeah, I mean, compared to Dalmar's prices, can you believe that? That is crazy. I saw somebody say something about
a lot of people like classic, but which is fun. Just didn't do it for me. But.
Well, I think it's the older one. I think the 2017 might have been a good one, but the 2018 might have been where they,
Yeah.
It's kind of like the.
I think the 2018 also had even a higher percentage of American oak, so I don't think that's helping much.
It was kind of like with the Abelauer Abanaz. I love the. I think it was like batch 54, or 56. I can't remember. It was one of the 50s ones, and I had a 60s one. And it just wasn't there. It didn't have the cloves that I got from the first, the 50 something. The 61 was kind of a letdown. And then I had it again like a little later, maybe 63 to a 68. And it was consistent with the other 60, but it didn't have that 50s clove, kind of feel to it.
Yeah, the one I have right now is batch 60, which is still good. I think the one I bought before then was batch 49, which was amazing.
Isn't it sad once you get past like 50, 60s, that's when it kind of starts getting like, wow, it's good, but it's not as good.
I still buy it.
Oh, yeah.
The new Abunad Alba.
Yeah, I saw you. I think, did you take a picture of that on Instagram recently?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I thought I saw you talking about that. Is it pretty good?
Yeah, it just got announced on September 1st. but I had it a few months ago. I got invited to a nice little lunch. The ambassador is a friend of mine, so I got invited to a lunch, and I had lunch and got to try the Abunot Alba with the master distiller himself.
Oh my.
So
jeez, man.
that probably helped being able to have it with him. But even then, I mean, I was skeptical at first because bourbon cask Aberlour is kind of new.
Yeah, I never even
and their
could think it would
cask
be like.
Anam or whatever it's called that they did, I didn't care for. So I wasn't sure about this one. But it was really good. It's cask strength, obviously, so that helps a ton. And it's just like full of like honeydew, cantaloupe, some cooking spices, and
Wow.
like some orchard fruits too. And it was having it next to like the 12, the 16, 18, and the regular Abunad. It's like extremely refreshing. So I really liked it.
It sounds good. Yeah, I do love the. I like the 18 as well. It's pretty good. I'm trying to remember if I had the 16 or 12 or both. At least I had the 12. I haven't had the. I used to have a 16, I think, at one point. Might still have it, but like for a sherry bomb, it's definitely one of my favorites. The Abanab by itself. I know some people get turned off by. Some people think that there's a lot of tannins or something like involved with it. They get headaches from drinking it, but I think it's just because it's cast. It's a little bit stronger. It's cast strength and maybe a little bit of that involved. But yeah, DHS, you're right. 16. It would be amazing if it wasn't just 40%. That's true.
Yep.
I think I want to see what your thoughts of if you get a chance, pick you up some PX sherry and just dabble a little bit. It doesn't have to be. Definitely use some cheaper stuff that's only 10 to 12 years. Base that's something that you're kind of like, it's all right with. But try it out and let me know what you think. Because man, I've been having a great time with both bottles. Just sipping on the sherry with it, and it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I like PX sherry just by itself. Nice. Like candy.
Yeah, it's probably really hard to have it mess anything up. I guess unless I guess if you heavy handed with it or something, but probably hard to mess it up. Well, guys, I'm gonna have to. I do have to work tomorrow, unfortunately, but it has been very, very fun as usual, and it's been awesome going through. I couldn't have picked a better person to go through Bunnahabhain and take a look at all the expressions, and I think you were perfect also because I mean, even though I've had a few here and there, you've had a lot of the ones that I haven't got my hands on yet, and I think we covered the board pretty well, and glad to see Bunnahabhain is a pretty good state.
Yeah.
Don't see them going downhill anytime soon.
Hope not.
Pray they don't ever change hands. Thanks, Steven, for the kudos. Give me a thumbs up before you leave if you don't mind. I really appreciate it. And Dram, yeah, you're more than welcome. And yeah, show the collection around. I'm curious myself because just looking in the back, I was like, wow, there's some. Oh man, you got some nice Benromics back there too. I see all sorts of goodies. 21 Balvenie. Oh man, a couple of Chigs. Oh my goodness. It's like I can just drool all over the place. Man. Holland Park on the bottom there, I see. Yep. Coleman's too. Glengoynes. Wow. FedEx. Dronix. Ben Rykes. That's one I can't wait to get more into. As Ben Reich does a pretty good job overall too. Bunnahabhains. Lefroy's. And that's I'm glad you brought that up too, Stephen. Don't forget to let me know when you want to talk about Lefroy. We were going to do a Lefroy show at some point. Oh, you're getting staticky there.
Yeah, my laptop.
I think you lost your video feed. Oh. Yeah, Steven, let me know when you can do the Lefroy show. It doesn't have to be Tuesday, but if you can do it next Tuesday, that'd be perfect. And appreciate you guys sticking around through all this craziness. And thanks for showing what you got there, Dram. And if you're ever up for another show, definitely let me know. We've got lots of distilleries to pick from. And I know you're well versed in pretty much everything. So if you're in the mood for a Ball Blair or a Ben Ryack or a Brooklady or something, then definitely let me know on the side as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was fun.
All right, man. Well, take it easy.
I haven't been on anybody's show, so this was pretty cool.
Oh, it's the first time.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Well, I hope you had fun with it, and definitely let me know if you're in the mood to try to do it again sometime.
Yeah, definitely. Totally down.
Slanchava, Loch Ness, Trooper, Ryan, DHS, Swami, everyone that was came in and out. Samuel Cass, good to see you. It's been a long time. And hope to see you guys. Maybe it might, if we can do it with Stephen before Tuesday, we might do it. I'll try to give you guys a heads up on Twitter. And if not, then definitely next Tuesday at the latest, I'm hoping. Cheers.
Cheers.